Welcome to Rick Rack Ruby. I'm Laura Kluvo. Are you looking for something fun to make from your holiday jelly rolls? How about some Christmas ornaments? Let's get started. I like to start with this kind of tall angel. She's about 9.5 inches tall. This is 1/16 inch double-faced satin ribbon. This is a 20 gauge gold wire. This is any kind of hair yarn that you like. Here's a little sticker. This is your favorite cardstock. This is a 1/2 inch flat lace. Here's like a little decoration. Red and white baker's twine. This is a 25 millimeter wooden bead. Underneath here we have some 6-inch tulle. And then she is made with 8 pieces 5 inches long, cut from your jelly roll, 2 each of 4 different prints. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1 for the ruffle on the bottom. Opening up a jelly roll is always so fun. You just never know what's going to be inside. The first thing I look for is what I call a vertical orientation on a strip, like this one. So this is where, if you can imagine, this is the fabric along selvage to selvage, then this will be a vertical orientation or perpendicular to the edges of the strip. I'm going to set this aside because these vertical orientations work perfectly for the ruffle on the bottom. And I want to kind of set those aside before we get started because that is really the best use for those vertically oriented strips. This particular jelly roll is called Snow Day by Moda, and it's one of my favorites. I sew on a Bernina, and this is the attachment for pleating or ruffling. My pleater is installed on my machine, and it's set to the 6, which means every 6th stitch it's going to create a pleat. Be sure to pleat along the top edge of the strip with matching thread. If you don't have a Bernina, I'm sure every major brand of machine will have some kind of an attachment for pleating or gathering. Now I've arranged my fabrics. This is the center, the blue, red, red, green, green, navy, navy, and then this one, which will be the back center. This is the front center. Then we're working out like this. Then I'm going to put that one on the end. I'm going to stitch them together with a 1/4 inch seam the entire row. I have my 5-inch strips sewn together, and I have pressed the seam allowances all in the same direction. So they're all going down. And likewise, my ruffle, which I'm going to attach to one side of the dress, let's just call it the dress, I want these to also go down, down like this. So when I attach the ruffle to the side of the dress, everything going down like this, the ruffle goes on the top like this. I'm actually feeding it through my machine with this on the inside of the needle and this on the outside of the needle. I'll show you. Here we go. My thread is matching the ruffle because we're stitching on top of the ruffle, and those folds are down and the seam allowances are down. I'm going to go all the way from one end of the dress to the other, back stitching at the beginning and the end. Here we go. cut off the excess ruffle, which I'm going to save for my ruffled angel ornament. And then I'm just going to sew up this back seam in the dress. And there's our dress, front and back. Let's make our angel's face. For our faces, we're going to use a 25mm or about an inch wooden bead. There's a hole all the way through. That's going to be the face or the head. To create the face, I use a wood burning tool, just for the eyes. Try to find a smooth side to your bead and the rounded tip of the wood burning tool, and then boop, boop, 2 eyes, boop, boop. It doesn't matter the color of your bead is light or medium or dark, but you want a clear bead. If there's a lot of grain showing, it can be distracting to have all those lines or circles coming through your angel's face. You don't have to use a wood burning tool. You could just draw a little brown oval with a marker or paint a little brown dot. But I like the look of the wood burned eyes, because if you look closely, there's a little ring of a lighter brown color that just gives it sort of a unique and distinctive look. This is the Rick Rack Ruby face. I've been doing this for decades, and I've never gotten tired of it. I'm looking for the smoothest side of the bead when I spin it around. And now for the mouth, I'm going to squeeze out a little drop of paint, any shade of red, and I use a bamboo skewer. I'm going to paint the mouth and the nose by dipping the tip in the paint. Do 2 dots for the mouth, connect them with a little line, and then add the little dot for the nose. I'll do the rest of these so you can see how easy it is. Dot, dot, connect, make the little heart, and then add a little dot for the nose. Dot, dot, connect, and a little dot for the nose. So cute. I'm going to move this mouth a little bit lower so you can see that it's equally as cute if it's lower or higher, bigger, smaller. You really can't go wrong. Just give it a shot. The next step is to draw the eyelash and eyebrow features. I use this pen. It's the Pigma Micron 01, and the color that I like is this brown. It says that it's a 0.25mm line. 2 eyelashes here, 2 eyelashes here, boop, 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 and then a little eyebrow, boop. You can put 3 eyelashes, whatever you like. You can put them only on the top, only on the bottom. They don't have to match. Each one has her own personality. The eyebrows really add a lot to the personality. I like to put them kind of far apart, if that makes sense. There we go. Then for the final step, I'm going to add a little blush to her cheeks. I just use cosmetic blush on the end of a Q-tip, like that. Just a little round Q-tip. And just draw it on her cheeks. 1, 2. Just like that. And this is what they look like. Adorable. For the next step, we need about perhaps 15 inches of 1/16 inch ribbon, double face satin ribbon, and then we need 2 lengths of 6-inch tulle. Mine looks like this. And that's about 24 inches. I'm going to fold it over in the middle, put the ribbon through this, tie the ribbon off in the center like that, and then just pull it through the bead from the bottom to the top. I pull it through until that little bit of the little tulle starts peeking out. Can you see that? See, it's starting to peek out. Boop. Okay, then I get it just right back in so it's right there. And just to be sure that it's secure, I add a drop of glue, hot glue, at the back of the neck right here. And then I just kind of push that on like that. I don't want too much excess. So then I have something that looks like that. The knot is right there poking out the top. And then I'm going to tie off the ends in an overhand knot. And there is my angel face and what I call her slip. I have a double strand of quilting thread here. I sew with a thimble. I'm going to start at the back. Remember, this is the back center. I like to start right here at this folded over so that it kind of secures the knot about 1/4 inch down. And then I'm going to just gather it up like this, boop, 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 boop. Just stitch along the circumference of the top of the dress. Remember to catch every time those little seam allowances so they stay nice and flat. I know it's the look of the way that I sew by hand is a little odd, but it works for me. Just sew through and then push with my thimble. Before I pull it tight, I'm going to just insert the angel inside. Remember, this is the back. Just draw it up, and this is the front. So I will kind of center the dress in the front with her face, making sure everything looks right. And then go around, pull it tight, and then kind of stitch through to secure. I like to go back and forth a few times, ending it with the thread in the back so that I can knot it off and secure it in the back. There we go. Now she's starting to look like an angel. There's a little bit of her slip hanging out at the bottom, so I'm going to trim that. I'm gathering up this flat white lace. Actually, it could be off-white, it could be any color. I'm just gathering it up to create a collar for our angel. I have a doubled strand of quilting thread. I use a thimble. I know not everybody likes a thimble, but I do. And it's about 24 inches, I would say. A half a yard to 24 inches of lace. I like flat lace, so it's not too bulky at the top edge. And then once I get all the way to the end, which only takes a second, I will put this around her neck like a collar and secure it in the back, something like this. I'm just going to knot off my thread. I also like to make sure that the fullness is kind of distributed evenly, so I don't have a bunch of lace on one side and not the same on the other side. So now she looks like this. Here I have about 24 inches of baker's twine, and I'm going to do a little bow, or sometimes just a little knot at her chin, at the front of her neck, I would say, beneath her chin. Takes a little bit. The eye of your needle should be large enough to accommodate the twine. So just be sure it's not really a struggle to thread. If it's a struggle to thread, then you need a larger eye. Then I just tie a simple bow, just like you're tying a shoe. It's nothing special. Try to get those loops around the same size. But don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm just going to glue one of these lace flower motifs to the center so that it's a little decoration and it kind of keeps the bow tied, if that makes sense. And then I like to tie a little knot in each end of the twine. There we go. She's looking good. Next is the hair. Now we're going to create the hair for our angel. It's really more of a wig. You can use any kind of yarn, not too chunky, but this is kind of a loopy yarn, but just plain regular acrylic yarn works fine. This is a 4x6 index card. I'm gonna fold it in half like this, and then I'm going to wrap it this way about, maybe let's try 30 times. I always start at the kind of the open side so that it will help to hold it closed. Oh, that's another kind of a weaving trick, is kind of like to keep my finger in the back so it doesn't like pull on the card. You want a nice thick coverage on both the front and the back so that you can hardly see the card in between the strands of yarn. Okay, I'm going to call this done. So I'll cut off the end, and then with my sewing machine I'm going to sew right across the center. So now I have something like this. Okay, I'm going to remove the card Now, if you could imagine this seam is kind of gonna go like a hairband. So it's gonna be around like this. Literally covering her face. So the center of what I'm going to call the wig, the center, will be right in the center front of her forehead. And then around behind her ears, and then all the way around to the back of her neck. I'm going to start by applying some hot glue. Across her forehead like this. And then I'm going to place the center, directly pressing it directly into the glue. Then I'm going to continue with the glue down by the ears and around to the back of the neck on both sides. 1, 2. Kind of looks like a mess, but you can see we're going to pull this back into kind of a high ponytail bun, and then it's going to look awesome. I have a double strand of quilting thread threaded onto a needle. I'm going to wrap first, wrap it around, tie it off, and then I'm just going to kind of stitch through the hair with the needle because you just don't want it falling apart, and you don't want your you want your loop to be secure, your hanging loop. You just want this part to be very secure. And then tie it, and we should be good. I like to have the knot in the front because we're going to glue a little ornament there. That'll help hold the knot. These are the little holly leaves we're going to use today. There's a lot of things you can glue there. You could put like a little flower, a little lace motif. You can even cut something out of, with your die cut machine, or some. I never trust the adhesive on these, so I just add a little bit of glue and just glue it right there to one side or the other, like that. There we go. Look, we're almost done. I've already made this wing piece. It's very easy. I cut it on my die cutter with one of these scallop circles. The dies look like this. Or you can just use a circle die, or you can just trace a CD. It's about the size of a CD, and call it a day. Then I folded it in half and did a little contrasting zigzag, just for a little personality. Remember, when you stitch, there's going to be a right side and a wrong side. The wrong side, the holes are just a little more pronounced. So I want to make sure I use the right side to glue to the back so that the right side shows on the front of the angel. I'm going to squeeze out kind of a generous amount of glue, and I actually glue to the back of her head, not to her dress, not to her neck or anything else, but to the back of her head. And try to get it centered. That's one thing that'll always look a little bit wonky, is if you don't have this piece centered. Now for her halo, cut about 6 inches of 20 gauge gold wire. Fold it kind of like a lollipop, twisting the ends together, and then kind of bend it like this. Right. And then a little glob of glue, and just kind of insert it into the center of her hairstyle. Like that. So it kind of comes out above her face. So cute.